Politicians are at odds about cruising, and NCL is demanding an answer from the CDC. Those stories and more next on the Cruise News Week in Review. Hello, fellow cruise lovers. I'm Mark from the Cruise World. Thanks for tuning in to the Cruise News Week in Review. We recap the week's news stories every Saturday, so go ahead and subscribe with the notification bell on so you'll get notified whenever we post new videos. As I'm sure you know, the battle between the cruise lines and the CDC has really been heating up the past couple of weeks. Last week, the big story was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis filing a lawsuit against the government and the CDC. And Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy said if he didn't see progress this week, he too would consider legal action. And though I haven't seen an update from him yet, earlier this week, Alaskan Senator Dan Sullivan, along with his Florida colleagues Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, introduced a bill called the Careful Resumption Under Improved Safety Enhancements Act. Now, the cleverly named Cruise Act would require the CDC to issue recommendations for how to mitigate the risks of COVID-19 to passengers and crew, and it establishes an interagency working group that will develop recommendations to facilitate the resumption of passenger cruise ship operations in the United States no later than July 4th of 2021. The act also requires the CDC to revoke the framework for conditional sailing and initial phase COVID-19 testing requirements for protection of crew no later than July 4th. It also ensures that HHS and CDC retain all appropriate authorities to make and enforce regulations necessary to prevent the introduction, transmission, or spread of communicable diseases on any individual cruise ship. Similar legislation is also being introduced in the House of Representatives by Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida. Now, not every bill becomes a law, and the ones that do often take a long time. I talked a little bit more about that in Thursday's video, and if this bill does make it past committee for a vote, it will need the support of the legislators, which is why so many cruisers have already gone to the CLIA Action Center at cruising.org to spread the word. And getting this bill to pass won't be easy. On Wednesday, Congresswoman Doris Matsui of California and Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut wrote a letter to CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky urging her to strictly enforce the conditional sailing order and immediately halt cruises if outbreaks occur on board. I've put a link to the entire letter down in the description, but I just want to read this last paragraph for you. While the United States makes progress toward our shared goal of beating this pandemic, COVID-19 remains a grave public health risk that requires ongoing vigilance. Prematurely lifting restrictions on cruising with thousands of people in close proximity and conditions ripe for spread of infections threatens a serious setback in this progress. It is absolutely critical that we listen to scientists and health and safety experts over the industry and its profit-driven executives. Now, Matsui and Blumenthal are longtime advocates for improving safety, security, and medical standards aboard cruise vessels, so this isn't too surprising. But what does surprise me is how the cruise industry keeps getting singled out for enhanced scrutiny, while other forms of travel go unchecked. And you may remember that Frank Del Rio of Norwegian Cruise Line penned a letter of his own to the CDC nearly 2 weeks ago that laid out the company's plan to resume sailing in the U.S. by July 4th. Not surprisingly, the CDC hasn't responded, so Del Rio expressed his frustration in a new letter to the CDC Thursday, requesting a prompt response to his written proposal. Del Rio said Americans look forward to cruising once again, and we look forward to relaunching our ships on as timely a basis as possible and restoring American jobs. There is, of course, a lot more to that letter, so I've added that link below as well. Last week, we told you about Norwegian's new docuseries Embark, which premiered on Thursday. And in the first episode, NCL answered a commonly asked question during the pandemic. Will there still be buffets on cruise ships?
There's a lot of talk about what happens to our famous buffet once we get back to cruising.
That's going to be the biggest change for us. However, it's not going to be like you're going into a medical ward with people wearing hazmat suits, but we'll have service that at the buffet where we serve the guests. They'll be able to most likely see the food, and the menus are going to be as good, if not better than ever, but we'll provide that extra bit of service.
So you're going to give me all the variety that we enjoyed before, probably higher quality, and I don't have to roam the hallways looking for a plate. Somebody will bring it to me, and that's a bad thing? It's fantastic.
It's kind of taken the buffet to a
And
new
still
level.
all I can eat, right?
That will be the same, but the service will be even better than before.
If you'd like to watch the series, the first episode is available now on nclembark.com and YouTube. When I think about the largest cruise brand in North America, the first company that comes to mind is Carnival. But given Carnival's recent trimming of their fleet and Royal Caribbean's massive ships, when the industry is back in full swing, Royal Caribbean International will be the largest brand, with an estimated passenger capacity of more than 3 million in the North American market. Rounding out the top 5 are Carnival with just under 3 million, Norwegian with around 1.8 million passengers, Disney with 700,000, and newcomer Virgin Voyages with just under 150,000. Princess Cruises leads the premium market, followed closely by Celebrity, then Holland America, and the luxury market is dominated by Viking Ocean. And just this week, Viking took possession of their newest ship, the Viking Venus, at the Fincantieri shipyard in Ancona. The 930-guest Venus is the 7th in a series of up to 16 ships that Fincantieri will build for Viking, and she is set to debut this May in the UK. MSC was one of the last holdouts, but this week they finally joined the other major cruise lines and canceled all cruises from the US through June 30th. 3 MSC ships are affected by this pause, the Divina out of Port Canaveral, and the Meraviglia and Armonia out of Miami. And though the CDC forced the company to cancel more US departures this week, MSC Cruises also announced new and updated itineraries in the Mediterranean and across Europe for this summer. Gianni Onorato, CEO of MSC Cruises, said, "Today we have clarity on which European destinations and ports will initially be open this summer, and we have fully reflected this into a first set of new and updated itineraries for the upcoming season so that guests can book their holidays with us with confidence. The entire MSC Cruises team and I look forward to welcoming both returning and new guests on board one of our ships that will be at sea this summer and to provide them with a memorable, relaxing, and above all, safe holiday." MSC will have a total of 10 ships operating this summer in the Eastern and Western Mediterranean, as well as Northern Europe. Included in those will be MSC's 2 newest vessels, the Virtuosa and the Seashore. In 2019, the number of people who visited Alaska on cruise ships was more than twice the state's population, and the state has suffered a severe impact from the cruise shutdown. But in the Alaskan capital of Juneau, 12 of the city's roughly 32,000 residents filed affidavits this week for 3 ballot initiatives to limit Juneau's cruise ship business. The initiatives, if passed, would ban cruise ships of more than 250 passengers between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m., or at any time on Saturdays, and no cruise ship larger than 100,000 gross tons would be allowed after January 1st of 2026. We will follow along with this story and provide any updates when they become available. But something that is available now is another brand new game from Carnival Cruise Line. I know I'm excited to play Family Feud live on the Mardi Gras later this year, and now we can pick up a cruise-themed version of the popular Family Feud board game at Carnival's online shop. Players can test their knowledge of Carnival and sea vacations with questions like, name a famous captain, or name something you'd hate to forget when packing for a cruise. There's also a free app you can download that turns your phone into a Family Feud-style buzzer for an authentic game experience. I put a link down in the description, and you can pick one of those up for yourself or as a gift for just $24.95. And all the pressure being dealt by the cruise lines didn't help in the market this week, as all 3 stocks are down. Royal Caribbean closed the week at $85.38 a share, down about 5%. Carnival Corporation and PLC dropped almost 8% to close at $27.07 a share, and Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings finished at $28.32 a share, a loss of 7.5% on the week. Have you reached out to your elected officials through the CLIA Action Center at cruising.org yet? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you love cruising videos, hit that subscribe button. It's free, doesn't cost a thing, but it really helps us do what we love, and that's cruising and making videos for you. We'll be back with more videos and news next week, but until then, remember, life is short and cruising is fun.